Hello everybody and welcome to another For Honor Executions Graded, the series where we go through each individual hero, grade all of their unique executions, and come to a conclusion about how good their executions really are. We've gone through the vanguards of For Honor, we've gone through the assassins, and currently we're working our way through the heavies, and today we're taking a look at the queen, or king, whichever gender you play, of the queen or king of executions, Hitokiri. I'm very excited to take a look at Hitokiri because, you know, they've got some really cool executions and they're famous for their executions. It's kind of their motif, so I'm hoping they get a really good score. But for those of you who don't know what's going on and are very new to this, take a look in the upper right-hand corner of the screen or down in the description. You'll be given a link to a video called That's an Execution, where I go over my grading rubric and basically break down everything I'm looking for in this series. For those who have seen some of these videos but still need a refresher, allow me to remind you how this goes. I'm going to be looking at each unique execution of the hero in question. In the case of Hitokiri, there are only 9. After I look at the execution, I'm going to be looking for 4 things in the execution. How lethal was it? Like, would this definitely kill? How realistic is it? Is it an execution that could actually be done in real life? Is it efficient? Like, is it something that you would actually want to use on the battlefield? Is it fast enough? Is it going to get the job done? And then finally, I'm going to be looking at cool factor. Does it fit the character's personality? Is it fun to do? Is it badass? That kind of thing. So with all that out of the way, like I said, Hitokiri's coming in with only 9 executions, so this won't be a super long video. And also, having so few executions means that it's going to really matter how good each execution is to contribute to the overall grade. So I'm really excited to get started, so let's not waste any more time and go ahead and take a look at Hitokiri's executions. Starting off with Fatal Diversion. All right, Fatal Diversion, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 4 out of 4 for lethality. This would definitely kill. The axe is plunging very deep into the head. It's going to be cutting through the jaw, probably even through the esophagus. This is going to kill, probably cut off the ability to breathe. This will kill you. For realism, I also give it a 4. What I like about this is the Masakari axe that she's using is incredibly heavy. We have to assume that the Hitokiri is strong enough to wield it, but what I like is she uses it in a very spinning centrifugal pattern, which gives her an advantage. She's not just swinging, then stopping, then swinging, then stopping. She is swinging and then using the momentum to turn it in the other direction, which I actually really like. And I like that she uses her kick to help plant him in the side of the head. So I like that. Plus, I like the fact that it didn't take off the head. It would have been so easy for them to just say, okay, this took off the head. Nope, they didn't. They made it a lot more interesting than that. For efficiency, this was very fast, very well done, and the spinning of the axe ensures that you have a protective barrier around yourself at all times, so that's good. So that's a 4. And then for cool factor, 4 out of 4. Love this execution. It's one of Hitokiri's absolute best. Totally baller. I really love seeing this one. So that gives this one, starting off, a 16 out of 16, which is a 100%. It did not take long for Hitokiri to get to the top, okay? Boy, this was a good way to start it. This was a good one. If you don't have this execution, by the way, I do highly recommend it. It's not only fast, but it fits Hitokiri so well. Next is Yato's Parricide. Oof. Okay, so for lethality, that's another 4 out of 4. Now, what happens here is she plants the axe deep into the shoulder. That's going to cut through the shoulder blade. She sinks him down, knocks him over, and then slams the axe into his midsection. Now, because of the length of that blade and how much it's going to be cutting, the only way this dude would survive is if she did this execution on the operating table and there was a team of doctors ready to fly in and stitch him up. But obviously, that's not what's happening here. This person would bleed out within moments. Most of his internal organs would be destroyed, so even if you stitched up the flesh wound, the internal areas are going to be just gone. This man's dead. This man's done. Realistically, it's a 4. I could see this happening. Singing them to the ground like this, that works. Knocking them over, and then slam. I definitely could see that. So that's a 4 for realism. For efficiency, also a 4. While I do think that there was a moment taken too long, I like the fact that she brought him to his knees. That's important. I always like an execution where you bring your opponent to their knees because it ensures that they're not going to get away while you finish off the fight. So I gave this one a 4 for efficiency since she's setting him up for the final kill and then takes him out. Now, if you wanted to make the argument that she took a little too long in the swing, I could grant that, but I still think that this was very well done. And then for cool factor, I gave it a 4. This is very much what I like, especially the shove down to his knees. Very dominating, very powerful, very scary too, because imagine you're in the warden's position and you're looking at a Hitokiri just starting this execution. you know you're done. You know that this is the end for you. So that gives this one another 16 out of 16, which is a 100% glorious. Next is Butterfly Beheading. All right. Another 4 for 4 for lethality. In this case, she took off the head. You know, once the head comes off, you're dead. For realism, I gave it a 4 as well. You could do this, I think. Yeah, you could do this. What I like about this one is that she's doing a spinning jump and bringing it down using gravity and the momentum of the blade to help. So, besides, the Masakari axe is an axe that I feel is designed to take off the head. Okay, like it's designed to be kind of a decapitator. It's designed to take off limbs. So I can give it more of a pass in this case. Plus, the way she does it is nice. Like this jumping spin and then slash down. I like that. For efficiency, I gave it a 4. This was quick and very well done. I like the fact that it took one hit, spin, slash, we're done with the execution. I love that. For cool factor, though, I did give it a 3. And there's just one reason. While I do like the spinning decapitation, after looking at it a couple times and really getting a feel for it, when I do cool factor, I think about, does this fit the character and does it wow me? And usually it only takes one answer. I usually don't have to think about it. But if I do have to think about it, that tells me something. It makes me think, something's missing. And in this case, I think what's missing here is it doesn't quite feel like Hitokiri. Hitokiri likes to make her opponents suffer. She's kind of a sadist, and she's very much like a war mommy, only not as dishonest about it, not as idealistic, just more of, yeah, I like to kill people, that's what I like to do. So I feel like she would take a little bit more time on this, which I know would hurt her efficiency score, but then just whoop, boom. I don't know. There's something missing there. I don't know what it is, but that's just my perspective. So that gives this one a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Still awesome, just 94% on that one. Next is Kamaitachi. All right, Kamaitachi. Again, we took off the head, so that's a 4 for lethality. For realism, I gave it a 3. This is a one-handed horizontal swing to take off the head and then a kick to follow up. The first problem I have with this is a horizontal swing like this, it's questionable that it would take off the head so cleanly. But even if it did, let's say it did do that, the head would fly off at that point. You wouldn't need the kick. The kick is unnecessary. The head should have come off cleanly. So that's why it gets a 3 for realism. For efficiency, it's very fast. I give it a 4. Plus, again, we're spinning that blade around in a pattern so that it doesn't allow anyone in to interrupt you. So that's good. And then for cool factor, I again gave it a 3. I don't know. It doesn't quite fit who Hitokiri is. I always feel like Hitokiri is just a monster in hiding, and this is almost too quick, I feel like. But then again, that's just me. So that gives this one a 14 out of 16, which is an 88%. Next is Shingetsuha. All right, so that gives this one a 4 out of 4 for lethality, because once again, we're taking off the head. For realism, I gave it a 3. When she brings the axe into the neck, she just kicks the head off. I don't know if that's how that would work, especially with this back hook kick that she does. I don't know that that would give enough force to literally just punch the head off of the neck, I do like that the axe is going through. I mean, that's good, but I feel like I'm not sure. For efficiency, I gave it a 3. And that's not because the execution takes too long, not at all. It's because after she takes the head off, she leaves the axe just sitting on the neck a little too long. Like, once it came off, you should have taken that axe and gone right back to work. But instead, she kicks it off and then just kind of slowly lets it sink. There was no need for that. You could have just gone right back into your stance and returned to battle. But she did not. She took a little too long, so I gave it a 3. For cool factor, though, I give it a 4. Even though it is a decapitation, this is such a creative decapitation. This isn't just a, we're going to do one swing and take off the head. No. This was actually a more unique way to do it, and I very, very much like that. So that gives this one another 14 out of 16, which is an 88%. Awesome. Next is Ishiwari Sakura. I love that. I love that execution. So 4 out of 4 for lethality. You're cutting the head in half lengthwise, okay? This is a vertical chop that is going clean through the head. I love it. You are dead. There is no coming back from this. You are half the man you used to be. You're splitting it down the middle. I love it. For realism, also a 4. I love the fact that this was not a decapitation. She just plunged it straight down into the head, and I could totally see it cutting through the skull like that. With the weight of the Masakari axe and the downward plunge, just Awesome. I definitely like that. I also like, this is kind of interesting. It's kind of a reversal. Notice where her hands are. She starts off with both near the bottom, but then swings her right hand upward to the very end to apply more of a push. She doesn't just allow the momentum to do everything. She applies some of her own strength to it, which I like. I think that's really cool. And it's creative. You don't see that a lot in like axe usage like that. Usually you see it the reverse, where you start off with control by keeping your hands separate, and then as you bring it down and you want to build that momentum, you slide your higher hand down to meet your lower one, so that then it's less about your own power and more about letting the momentum drive it home. Instead, she does the reverse. She maintains the momentum at first, but then controls it and applies her own power to the end, which I think is very unique. For efficiency, 4. 4, definitely. She does it very well here. This is very quick. It handles the problem very fast. I very much like that. For cool factor, 4. This is such a good execution. It's a good time because Ishiwari Sakura means stone splitter Sakura, which is a reference to an actual Sakura tree that is growing out of an actual stone in Japan. And so what she's doing here is she's planting her own Sakura tree into his head and splitting the head and open like Ishiwari Sakura. So that's a clever name, first of all. And this feels right to me, because imagine how much pain you would be in once like you cut through the head like that. Like, that's the thing with Hitokiri. I don't just see a person who, oh, I'm gonna take off your head. I see a person who says, let me apply as much agony as I can, and that is it. Oh, that's so brutal. So this is another 16 out of 16, which is a 100%. 3 100s, guys. We're at 3 100s. Oh, that's good. Okay, moving on. Next is Hitobashira, or Hitobashira, whichever you prefer. All right, Hitobashira. We took off the head again, so that's a 4 for 4 out of lethality. But for realism, I got to give it a 2. The problem here is there's no strength behind the drop. This is pure gravity doing its work. It's a guillotine execution. But even a proper guillotine may not always take off the head in one drop. I mean, it's supposed to, but it doesn't always. Do some research. Like, look up Mary, Queen of Scots. Like, her head didn't come off cleanly the first time either, so regardless. But back to the point. So I don't buy the fact that it came off that easily. I'll give it a 2 for realism for that. And for efficiency, I got to give it a 1. She took a little too long doing this, especially when you consider that this might not get the execution you want. You can't afford to take this much time. If all you're going to do is just incapacitate them, you still can't afford to take that much time. If you know that your execution will kill, then maybe you can afford to take some time. But in this case, you cannot. This took way too much time, shouldn't have done that. And that's one of the problems. I see this a lot with sadistic killers like Hitokiri. Luckily, I haven't seen it a whole lot here, but it's a problem I have. You should not take your time. Like, you see it in slasher movies, right? Why is it slasher killers always, like, walk everywhere? They don't usually run after their prey. They usually just walk. Like, I mean, it's creepy, but at the same time, what if they get away? You know, that's the thing. And then for cool factor, I gave it a 3. It's neat, but I don't really use it, and I don't know a whole lot of people who use it. I'll be real honest, it just doesn't impress me. I feel like this should be more terrifying than it is. But anyway, that gives this one a 10 out of 16, which is a 63%. Sorry, that you always got to have one bad one, right? Next is Hack and Smash. That sounds like a side order or something, like I'll have the burger and the hack and smash. I guess I'm hungry. Okay, anyway, so for lethality, that's a 3. Now, granted, you could destroy the head. You could kill smacking someone in the head like this, but it's a could, not a definite. And I know, I get comments from people all the time. Raven, don't you know that if you get hit hard enough in the head, it could kill you? Yes, the word be important there is could. Could is the ultimate word there. Here's the thing: if I cut off your head, there is no could. You are dead. Okay? If I rip out your heart, there is no could. You are dead. But if I hit you in the face, you could die. In this case, you could die. At the very least, this guy's got a concussion, probably probably a skull fracture, but I don't know if it would 100% kill, you know? Not every strike to the head is going to result in a kill. I have been in combat. I've felt the pain of being hit in the head multiple times. I'm still alive, and I still think's good and stuff. But my point being, if you take hits to the head, you could die from it, and that's the problem here. So I gave it a 3. For realism, I gave it a 4. There's no reason you couldn't do this. All of this feels very realistic. All this feels like something you could do. Not necessarily something I'd recommend, but still. Actually, think about it like this. Why did she smack him with the El Kabong Batong? Why did it do that? Why didn't she turn it so that the blade hit instead of the side of the blade? Why not just hack his head off right there? It would be stupid, but it'd still fit better than just a kabong thing. I don't get that. For efficiency, I give it a 4. It is quick enough. I mean, she does it fast enough. Strike to the head brings him to the knee, and then strike to the face. I like that. That's fine. But for cool factor, I gave it a 2. This is the first execution that I kind of have to go, what is this? Just throw away the axe and grab a guitar and do the full-on El Kabong thing. Badong, and yeah, that'd be better. You know, that just fit better, right? So that gives this one a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. It's not the worst, but it just doesn't impress me, especially when you consider some of Hitokiri's other executions. Yeah. Next is Makura O Sayuru. Ooh. Well, that's a 4 for lethality. I love the way she killed with this one. Just kicking his head down into the axe head. That's perfect. This will probably cut straight into the brain. I am sure this would kill. This is excellent. It's just so mean, but I love it. For realism, I gave it a 3. I think the one problem I have with this one is you have to assume a lot to make sure this works. You have to assume that your kick is going to be strong enough to push them deep enough into the axe to kill. You also need to be sure that the warden isn't going to just roll out of the way, which we're about to get to. But yeah, realism is a 3 for me. For efficiency, I'm going to give it a 2. There are a lot of things that could go wrong with this execution. First of all, you didn't need to do all the repetitive strikes to the body. Let's see how many there are. There's 1, 2, 3. There are 3 strikes. You only needed 1. You only needed the one that hit the knee to bring them down to their knee. You didn't need the chest and then belly strike. You just needed the knee strike to bring them to their knee. So this took more time than was necessary. Plus, again, what if Warden grew a brain there before it got cut in half and decided to roll out of the way? Like, just roll, like, yeah! I mean, sure, the Hitokiri may hunt him down then, but at the very least, he would have escaped this. You know, again, a lot has to go right here for this to work, so that gave it a 2 for efficiency. And for cool factor, though, I gave it a 4. This is awesome. This is such a unique way to use the axe. That's the thing. When you think about axes, one of the problems I had with Raider and Berserker and Shaman is I'm like, okay, you have an axe, but there's only so much you can do with an axe. What's an axe going to do but just chop you, right? But here, Hitokiri has found some creative ways to use the Masakari axe, and I love it. This is so creative, and I gotta give it credit for that. And this feels like something Hitokiri would do, just maximum pain. I love it. So that gives this one a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. I love it. Okay, guys. That does it. We have wrapped up all 9 of Hitokiri's executions. So, averaging them all out, that's where we add all the execution finals together. We divide by 9. We get a total score of, wait for it, 88%. My God, guys, that is impressive. This may be the highest score we've gotten so far. Hitokiri definitely proved herself as the execution queen. And when I look at the scores, it all adds up. Her lethality was 4s across the board except for 1, which was a 3. Her realism score never dropped below a 2, and that was only 1 time. And only 2 efficiency scores were really that bad. Even in her cool factor, only 1, 2. No, there was only 1 score of 1 throughout this entire process, and that was on an efficiency score. So Hitokiri really brought her A game. It's like the class teacher said, okay, everyone, we've got a project. Bring in your best executions. And Hitokiri just said, hold my sake. This was awesome. I was so happy to see how Hitokiri performed here. This is definitely how I want to see executions done. All of them lethal, all of them cool. This is what I want to see. So what do you guys think? Did y'all enjoy this video? Do you think that I was fair to Hitokiri here? How would you have rated the executions? Do you think this was too low or too high? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below, but be respectful. And let me know which heavy you want to see next when I release the poll. because we've only got 2 more to go. We got Zhang Jun and we got Jormungandr, so we got to decide who's next. So anyway, guys, with all that out of the way, I will see you in my next video. Take care.